Alma chapter 35.
Yeah,
It's quite a chapter.
it is. It's got faith rejection, compassion, conflict. We really see human nature.
Oh yeah, at its best and worst.
Absolutely.
So we're in the aftermath of Alma and Amulek preaching to the Zoramites, sharing this incredible message of hope and repentance.
Right.
But how do the Zoramites react?
Well, not so well. It says in Alma 35.3,
Yeah.
the more popular part of the Zoramites were angry because the word for it did destroy their craft.
That word craft is interesting.
Yeah, I think it's key here.
Yeah.
It seems to be pointing to their corrupt religious practices. This wasn't sincere worship. It was about power control, personal gain.
It's like their livelihood.
Exactly. And when truth threatened that craft, they clung to what was familiar, even if it was harmful.
Makes you think, doesn't it? How often do we, maybe without realizing it, hold on to beliefs or practices that don't really serve us or align with truth?
All the time.
Yeah.
Right. It's out of fear or comfort or pride.
Yeah.
It's a human struggle. We see it throughout history and in our own lives.
Awesome.
But what's crucial is that we stay open to examining our beliefs and be willing to let go of what no longer serves us,
Even if it's uncomfortable.
even if it is.
So speaking of discomfort, let's talk about those who did accept Alma's message.
Right.
They were cast out, rejected by the Zoramites.
Heartbreaking.
It is. But that's where the people of Ammon come in.
Ah, the people of Ammon. What a beautiful example of compassion and love in action.
I know.
They didn't just take in these outcasts, they welcomed them wholeheartedly.
Alma 35.9 says,
They did nourish them and did clothe them and did give unto them lambs for their inheritance, and they did administer unto them according to their wants.
they embraced these people as their own.
They did. It's really quite remarkable.
It is. And even though it put them at odds with the powerful Zoramites, it really shows their character.
It speaks volumes about their commitment to living their faith.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about compassion. It's not always easy.
It's not.
No.
It can lead to conflict, as we see. The Zoramites, instead of being moved by this act of kindness, are enraged by it.
Verse 10 says, And now it came to pass that the Zoramites were so angry because of the people of Ammon who had received their brethren that they began to make preparations for war.
Wow.
They saw this kindness as a threat.
They did. Which really shows their own insecurities and the corrupt nature of their leadership.
They saw compassion as weakness.
Which sadly is a common misconception.
It is.
It takes real strength and courage to stand up for what's right, to show love and generosity when you're facing opposition.
Absolutely. As we're talking about all of this, I can't help but think about Alma. How do you think he was feeling during all of this?
Oh, I can only imagine. It had to be incredibly painful. You
Yeah.
know, he just poured his heart and soul into preaching the word, and his own people rejecting it, turning against each other.
Alma 35.15 says he's grieved for the iniquity of his people, yea, for the wars and the bloodsheds and the contentions which were among them.
It's powerful. It shows the depth of his empathy, the heavy burden of leadership.
It really makes you think about what true leadership entails.
Doesn't it?
It's not just about giving orders or holding a position of authority.
It's about carrying the weight of responsibility for those you lead, feeling their joys and their sorrows as your own.
And in the face of all of this turmoil,
Yeah.
Alma makes a very deliberate decision.
It does.
Verse 16 says, Therefore he caused that his sons should be gathered together, that he might give unto them every one his charge separately concerning the things pertaining unto righteousness. He shifts his focus to the next generation. He recognizes the future of his people, of their faith, rests in the hands of the next generation.
He's thinking long term.
He's not just reacting to the crisis.
Right.
He's trying to shape the future.
It's proactive leadership.
It is. And notice it says he gives them their charge separately.
I was just thinking about that.
This personalized approach to mentorship. It's like he's saying, I'm not going to give you a generic lecture. I'm going to sit down with each of you, understand your hearts, and give you counsel that's tailored to you.
It's beautiful. Really, it's a powerful example for parents, teachers, anyone in a position of mentorship.
It reminds us that true leadership involves nurturing and empowering others to reach their full potential. It's about guiding them to discover their own paths, not forcing them into a mold.
Exactly. And this is so relevant today, especially with all the challenges young people are facing.
Oh, absolutely.
How do we equip them to navigate a world that often feels chaotic and confusing?
It's a good question.
Alma's example gives us a framework.
I think so.
It's not just about instilling a strong moral compass.
Although that's crucial.
It is, but it's also about fostering critical thinking skills, empathy, and the courage to stand up for truth even when it's unpopular.
And we see this in how Alma lived his life.
Yes,
He faced persecution, rejection, even threats of violence.
he did.
But he never wavered in his commitment to righteousness. He modeled the behavior he hoped to inspire in his sons.
Actions speak louder than words, right? We can tell people to be honest, kind, courageous, but if we don't embody those qualities ourselves, our words won't mean much.
Exactly. It's about living our values authentically in a way that resonates with others and inspires them to do the same.
And it's also about recognizing that even with the best guidance, people will make their own choices. We can't control their decisions, but we can create an environment where they feel safe to explore, to make mistakes, and to learn.
Give them the space to grow.
Yes, to develop their own understanding of righteousness and to find their own paths.
It can be tough to let go, though. Especially when we see them struggling or making choices that we don't agree with.
Oh, it can be. But as mentors, our role is to guide and support, not to dictate or control.
And sometimes the best way to support them is just to be there for them to listen without judgment and to offer encouragement and love, just as the people of Ammon did.
It all comes back to compassion, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
That willingness to extend grace and understanding and love.
Even when it's difficult.
And that's a lesson we can all learn from regardless of our age or stage in life.
Now, after giving his sons their individual charges, Alma makes a decision. He decides to return to Zarahemla.
But not alone.
That's right. He takes Ammon and their brethren with him. And I think that little detail speaks volumes. It tells us that Alma hasn't given up on his people, despite the sorrow and the conflict brewing.
He's pushing forward. It's like he's saying, the work isn't over.
Right.
There are still hearts to touch.
Even when things are tough.
And that's a message we can all hold on to. We may face rejection, setbacks, even outright hostility when we try to live righteously and share truth.
We will.
But we can't give up. We have to keep trying, keep reaching out, keep believing that change is possible.
It's a message of resilience.
Of unwavering faith.
Alma's experience in Alma 35 isn't just about a specific group of people in a specific time. It's a timeless story. It's about the challenges of faith, the power of compassion, the weight of leadership. It's about the choices we make, the consequences that follow, and the hope that shines even in the darkest moments.
It's a message for all of us.
Facing our own trials and seeking to make a difference in the world.
As we navigate our own lives, our relationships, our roles as individuals striving to live righteously, let's keep the lessons of Alma 35 close to our hearts.
Let's remember the Zoramites who clung to their corrupt practices, and the people of Ammon who chose compassion even when it was risky. And let's remember Alma, who led with sorrow, but also with unwavering hope.
These are powerful lessons for us today.
They are.
Thanks for joining us for this look at Alma 35. We hope you found it meaningful and inspiring.
We did.
If you enjoyed this discussion, be sure to subscribe to our podcast for more conversations exploring faith and the scriptures.
It's really remarkable how Alma, amidst all the chaos and the heartbreak, he turns his attention to mentoring his sons. He gathers them, as we read in Alma 35.16, that he might give unto them every one his charge separately concerning the things pertaining unto righteousness.
It's like he recognizes that the future of his people, of their faith, it all rests in the hands of the next generation.
Yeah.
He's not just reacting to this current crisis,
Right.
but he's proactively shaping the future.
And it's being proactive, not reactive.
And notice it says he gives them their charge separately. It's a very personalized approach to mentorship.
It is.
It's like he's saying, look, I'm not going to give you this generic lecture. I'm going to sit down with each of you one-on-one. I want to understand your hearts, and I'm going to give you counsel that's tailored to your specific needs.
That's a powerful example for us all, isn't it? For parents, for teachers, for anyone who's in a position to mentor another person.
It reminds us that true leadership involves nurturing and empowering others to reach their full potential.
Right.
It's about guiding them to discover their own paths,
Yeah.
not forcing them into a mold.
Exactly. And this is so relevant today, with all the challenges that young people are facing.
Oh, it is.
How do we equip them? How do we help them navigate a world that often feels chaotic and confusing?
It's a tough question. It's a good one, though.
Alma's example provides a framework.
I think it does.
It's not just about instilling a strong moral compass, though that's crucial.
Yeah, it is.
But it's also about fostering critical thinking skills, empathy, and the courage to stand up for truth.
Even when it's unpopular.
Especially when it's unpopular.
And we see this in how Alma lived his own life.
You do.
He faced persecution, rejection, even threats of violence.
Yeah.
but he never wavered in his commitment to righteousness.
Hmm.
He modeled the behavior that he hoped to inspire in his sons.
It's true what they say. Actions speak louder than words. We can tell people to be honest and kind and courageous. But if we don't embody those qualities ourselves, our words will ring hollow.
It's about living our values authentically,
Right.
in a way that resonates with others and inspires them to do the same.
It's about being the example.
And it's also about recognizing that even with the best guidance, people are going to make their own choices.
Of course.
We can't control their decisions,
Right.
but we can create an environment where they feel safe to explore,
Yes. To make mistakes.
to learn from those mistakes,
Give them the space to grow.
to develop their own understanding of righteousness, to find their own paths.
It's hard, though, isn't it? It can be really tough to let go, especially when we see those we care about struggling or making choices we disagree with.
Oh, it's so hard.
But our role as mentors is to guide and support.
Not to control.
Exactly. And sometimes the best way to support is to simply be there to listen without judgment and to offer encouragement and love.
Just as the people of Ammon did for those who were cast out.
It all goes back to compassion, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah.
That willingness to extend grace and understanding and love, even when it's difficult.
Now, after giving his sons their individual charges, Alma makes a decision.
Okay.
He decides to return to Zarahemla.
But he doesn't go back alone.
Nope. He takes Ammon and their brethren with him. And that, I think, speaks volumes, you know? It tells us that Alma hasn't given up on his people.
Even with all the sorrow and conflict,
Even with all of that.
he's pushing forward.
Yeah. It's like he's saying, look, the work isn't over.
Right.
There are still hearts to touch.
Even when things are tough.
Exactly. And that's such an important message for us to remember.
Oh, it is.
We might face rejection. We might face setbacks, even outright hostility when we're trying to live righteously and share truth.
It's going to happen.
It is. But we can't give up. We have to keep trying, keep reaching out, keep believing that change is possible.
It's about resilience.
It is. An unwavering faith.
Alma's experience in Alma 35 is not just about this specific group of people in a specific time. It's a timeless story.
It is.
It's about the challenges of faith, the power of compassion, the weight of leadership.
Right. The choices we make, the consequences that follow, and the hope that shines even in the darkest moments.
The message for all of us.
It is for all of us, facing our own trials and trying to make a difference in the world.
So as we navigate our own lives, our
Yeah.
relationships, our roles as individuals striving to live righteously,
Yeah.
let's keep these lessons of Alma 35 close to our hearts.
Absolutely. Let's remember the Zoramites who clung to their corrupt practices.
And the people of Ammon who chose compassion even when it was risky.
Yes. And let's remember Alma, who led with sorrow but also with unwavering hope.
Such powerful lessons for us today.
They really are.
Well, thanks for joining us for this look at Alma 35.
Of course.
We hope you found it meaningful and inspiring.
I know I did.
If you enjoyed this discussion, be sure to subscribe to our podcast for more conversations